Been in the Army for 3 years now, and this past deployment would have been my second deployment, but first deployment was 18 months, and everything went well for the most part. And then this past deployment was only there for roughly 2 months before I was hit by a grenade in Beiji, Iraq. The way that the attack happened was we were driving past the market, and there was a guy just hanging out in the market by a chicken coop, and there was another guy across the street up on top of a roof, and he was the spotter. So once the spotter gave the signal, the guy in the market pulled a grenade out of the chicken coop, and the type of grenade it can penetrate through a pretty good amount of steel. So he pretty much pulled the pin and ran right up to my truck and threw it. And if I didn't have all my gear on, it would have been really bad, but you can't cover your face really. So my face was a little crispy, but my eyebrows and everything were singed off, but I wasn't really too worried about that at the time. When it happened, I kind of got knocked back into my little sling that I was on, and I started to black out, and then it felt too easy to just go with it, and plus I didn't know what would happen if I did black out. I didn't know if I'd ever wake up again, so I was like, I'm not going to chance that. So I actually came to and got myself out of my harness and everything, and I tried crawling. I heard my driver, he was yelling that he was hit, so I thought he was hit a lot worse than I was, and he only had a few pieces of shrapnel in him, which I was pretty upset later on, because I didn't tell anybody that I was in a lot of pain, because I was taking the pain pretty well, I think, and it's probably more shock than anything, but my driver was kind of freaking out, and I didn't hear anybody in the back. I didn't hear anybody yelling or screaming or anything, so that kind of freaked me out. And that's why I did what I got out of the harness as fast as I could. And even with my leg mangled, I crawled to the back of the truck to see how they were doing. And when I got back there, they were telling me, and they were like, no, just lay there. Looking back on it, I'm kind of surprised I made it that far before I actually started getting assistance from anybody. But they opened up the back doors and let all the smoke out, and that's when my guys that were in the back of the truck, everybody in my truck ended up getting hit with shrapnel, so everybody was injured, but my guys in the back of the truck that I was trying to help, they actually ended up helping me out, and they're the reason why I'm here right now. I was blown up on January 7th, and then I got to Walter Reed on the 9th, and then from the 9th up until February 5th, I think, was when I was actually an inpatient at Walter Reed. And in that point, for the first 2 weeks, I had surgery every other day, where they'd go in and wash out my knee, and it was every other day they'd end up having to cut up higher and higher. It was originally a below the knee, but with infection and everything, they ended up having to go above the knee, which at the time I wasn't thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, do whatever you got to do. But now looking back, I know they didn't have a choice. They had to go above the knee to end up stopping the infection from spreading anymore, but a below the knee would have been a lot easier to work with than what I have now. First day at Walt was my first day of physical therapy, and Oprah just happened to be visiting that day, and it was Oprah. I wasn't overly excited about meeting Oprah. I mean, yeah, it's cool to meet different people like that, but I don't know. It just wasn't really doing it for me. And then, especially being on the meds, really, I just wanted to go to physical therapy and do what I had to do, and then pretty much go back to my room. And getting up and walking for the first time was really kind of, I guess, inspiring. Like, I didn't think it would go as fast as it did. As soon as I got my prosthetic, up and walking was, as soon as I got it, I started walking, and I haven't had really any problems from there. When I first got there, they were actually, I was still in Germany when they first started testing me for that. They were asking me, they would give me a list of words to memorize. It was just 5 simple words, too easy. And then she'd be like, okay, just remember them. I was like, all right, not thinking anything of it. And then we talked for probably about 5 minutes. And then when she was done talking to me, my nurse was like, all right, well, what are the 5 words that I told you? And at that point, I had no clue. So right there, that was kind of a given that I had something wrong. And then when I did get to Wall 3, they pretty much were doing the same things. And then I just had a really hard time with short-term memory. So I had a real hard time with that, and it's slowly but surely getting better. The meds didn't help either. So I had the TBI plus the meds on top of it, and for a little while they just kind of let it heal on its own, I guess. And then I didn't really have too many appointments with the TBI clinic there. They were waiting for me to come off of all my heavy meds before they did any testing. That way they would know whether or not it was the meds or the actual TBI. And it was the TBI, but in that short amount of time, I guess it did heal enough to the point where I'm doing a lot better. I'm able to remember a lot more. I do still have short-term memory pretty bad, but it's not as frustrating as it used to be. And one of the good things that Walter Reed does is they provide you, if you have a TBI and if you have short-term memory loss or anything like that, they provide you with a PDA. So I ended up just getting a new iPhone, and I've been using that and been scheduling all my appointments with that. And then there's also other applications that you could get for that, and they have one application as far as all your medications. You could put all that into your phone, and that way you know what you took for the day and what you haven't taken for the day. So that's been a real big help as far as remembering everything. It sounds weird, but yeah, I was injured and I did suffer a mild TBI and I did lose my left leg, but I've met people that I've only seen on TV. I'm given the ability now to do things that, like Walter Reed, they provide trips to everywhere. And at the end of this month, I'm actually going snowboarding in New Hampshire. So for any of the new guys that have suffered anything like this over there or anything at all, just gotta, you can't be down about it. It happened. You can't change it. You just gotta keep your head up and kind of blow it off, brush it off your shoulder, and keep charging ahead. And there'll be some days where it gets a little rough, but it's only one day, and the next day is always better.